She sat in that deposition chair with a smile on her face, confident, untouchable, but the second they asked her the real questions, everything fell apart.
Did you ever invite anybody under the age of to Jeffrey's house?
Same objection.
Listen to how she answers.
I'm not aware of having invited anybody other than friends of mine who have children to the house.
Not aware. That's her go-to lie. But here's what nobody's talking about. While she was sitting in that prison cell after conviction, something changed. She started talking, trading names, making deals. And the files she's been exposing, they don't contain what you think they contain. She is exposing these individuals in order to maintain her privileges behind bars, which, according to sources, include personal time, privatized meals, and access to an emotional support pet. But the real operation, the one they're all protecting, has a name. And it's buried so deep that mainstream media won't even whisper it. It's called Midnight Production. And tonight, we're going to tell you what it actually was. Before we get to Midnight Production, you need to understand who Ghislaine Maxwell really is. Because the woman sitting in that deposition, she wasn't just lying about one thing, she was lying about everything. The deposition video you're about to hear is raw footage, unedited, released directly from the DOJ's Epstein files. And if you watch it carefully, you'll see exactly how a sophisticated operator tries to talk her way out of decades of crime.
Did you ever bring someone who is under, or invite someone who is under the age of to Grace home, any of his homes?
Subject to the formal foundation.
You can answer.
Can you repeat the question?
Yes. Did you ever invite anybody under the age of to Jeffrey's homes?
Notice the hesitation. She just admitted to hiring someone under 18, someone, a masseuse. But when they pin her down, when they ask if she brought underage girls to Epstein's homes, suddenly she's not aware.
I'm not aware of having invited anybody other than friends of mine who have children to the house.
That's not a memory issue. That's a strategy. She's creating plausible deniability by claiming ignorance. But the depositions went on for hours, and the more they pressed, the more cracks showed.
Did you ever bring someone who is under, or invite someone who is under the age of to Grace home, any of his homes?
Subject to the formal foundation.
You can answer.
Can you repeat the question?
Yes.
She's stalling, asking them to repeat the question. It's a delay tactic. And it works because while she's asking for clarification, she's also buying time to figure out her next lie. But here's where it gets bad. They asked her directly about finding girls for Epstein.
Can you list for me all the girls that you have met and brought to Jeffrey Epstein's house that were under the age of 18?
Subject to the formal foundation.
I could only recall my family members that were there, and I could not make a list of anyone else because that never happened. But I can think of.
I'm talking about during the time that you were working for Jeffrey Epstein.
Right.
Can you list all the girls that you found for Jeffrey Epstein that were under the age of 18 to work for him in any capacity?
Subject to the formal foundation.
So I didn't find the girls. I didn't
You
look
asked
for
them,
them.
you choose the word.
Well, no, you don't choose the word. If you have a question, ask it.
There it is. I didn't find girls. That's her defense. She just claimed she didn't find girls for one of the most prolific predators in modern history. A man she lived with. A man she managed his entire household. A man whose operation she helped run. And she expects us to believe she didn't know what was happening.
She's a horrible liar. I mean, obviously, she's a terrible liar. You can tell. Especially for me, what stuck out was there are a lot of moments in there, but for me, when they asked the ages of the masseuses and they were kind of descending in age, and she kept saying, no, not to my knowledge, no. It's like, it's so obvious that she's extremely uncomfortable and she's writhing under pressure.
But here's what's crucial to understand. This deposition, it's theater. It's designed to make her look bad enough that people feel justice is served, but not bad enough that it exposes the real machinery behind the operation. Because the operation had a name, it had infrastructure, it had a specific purpose, and that's where Midnight Production comes in. After Ghislaine Maxwell was convicted in 2021, something unexpected happened. She didn't disappear into the system. Instead, she started getting special treatment, customized meals, private exercise time, a service dog, access to prison officials who normally wouldn't give her the time of day, and whistleblowers started talking.
In a letter from Congressman Jamie Raskin addressed directly to President Trump, Raskin says the whistleblower at Maxwell's new prison camp alleges that her extraordinary treatment includes customized meals delivered directly to her, visits to the prison exercise area after hours with a prison guard escort, and even access to a service dog in training to play with.
Why would a convicted sex trafficker get this kind of treatment? The answer is simple. She was making a deal, and the deal was information. Sources close to the investigation started reporting that Ghislaine was naming names, exposing celebrities, trading testimony for privileges, and with each name that came out, a pattern emerged, but not the pattern mainstream media was pushing. The celebrities being exposed weren't the architects. They were the fall guys.
A whistleblower is telling the top Democrat on the House Judiciary Committee that Jeffrey Epstein accomplice Ghislaine Maxwell is getting special treatment in prison and actively preparing a commutation application.
A commutation application. Think about that. She's serving a sentence for trafficking minors, and somehow through the power of naming celebrities, she's positioning herself for early release, which means the names she's giving up are worth something to someone very powerful. But here's what nobody connected. The names being released aren't random. They're strategic. Ellen DeGeneres, Jay-Z, Oprah, Elon Musk, Leonardo DiCaprio, Kevin Spacey, Chris Tucker. These are massive names. Household names. And when you start looking at them together, you notice something. They're not all equal. Some are definitely predators. Some were victims. Some were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. And some are being deliberately exposed to distract from something else entirely.
Ghislaine woke me up in the morning and said, "You're going to meet a prince today." I didn't know at that point that I was going to be trafficked to that prince.
That line from Epstein to princes, to billionaires, to government officials, to an entire network of powerful men who needed a supply of people to abuse. And that network had infrastructure. It had organization. It had a name internally, Midnight Production. When you start connecting the dots in the Epstein files, a picture emerges that mainstream media is actively avoiding, because Midnight Production wasn't just a side operation. It was the operation, the core business model. Think about what Ghislaine was doing. She wasn't a recruiter who stumbled into crime. She was a strategist, an intelligence asset, someone who understood how to build systems that could operate in plain sight because they were protected from above. The files show that she kept records, lists, contacts, and when you look at those records, you see something systematic, something planned, something that required coordination across multiple cities, countries, and social circles.
Did Miss Maxwell ever kept the names of any of the girls who came to give massages? And I think your response was yes.
Yes.
Okay. Did she keep them on a pad of paper? Did she keep them in a notebook? Did she keep them in a computer?
We used to have internal books for pilots, masseuses, chefs. So she have a copy of the black book with herself and as well as the computer.
The Black Book. That wasn't a casual notebook. That was an operational database. Contacts, names, routes, methods, everything needed to run a sophisticated trafficking network disguised as a hospitality operation. But here's what's never discussed. Who was Midnight Production actually for? Because Epstein wasn't the mastermind. He was the face. The operation required funding, protection, coordination at levels that went far beyond one financier and his girlfriend. The files hint at intelligence involvement, multiple intelligence agencies. And when you look at the names being protected, the ones who remain redacted, the ones who somehow aren't in the released files despite testimony mentioning them, you start to see the real architecture.
If there were damning smoking gun pieces of evidence, documents, photos to be found within the Epstein files, they're never going to release them, guys. Come on. We know it's a corrupt system that we're working within right now. The top is corrupted, and that corruption flows all the way to the bottom. So they're not going to be transparent even if they had those things. But when you're talking about a blackmail gathering, sexual blackmail gathering ring run by intelligence agencies, both domestic like the CIA and foreign like the KGB, Kremlin, Mossad, and Israel, they're not going to keep records of that.
Midnight production wasn't accidental. It was designed, funded, protected, because it served a purpose beyond profit. It served the purpose of control, blackmail, leverage over powerful people in government, entertainment, finance, and media. And Ghislaine Maxwell knew every detail of it, which is why she's still alive, which is why she's getting special treatment, which is why she's carefully naming certain people while others remain untouchable. She's not confessing, she's negotiating. She's protecting the real architecture while throwing out names that will distract the public just long enough for key people to escape, relocate, or be protected. Now here's where this gets really disturbing, because while you're reading headlines about Ellen DeGeneres, Jay-Z, and Elon Musk, while you're arguing online about who knew what, the actual operators are still free. The celebrities in the files, most of them are exactly what they appear to be, either predators or people who were at the wrong party at the wrong time. But they're not the system. They're not the infrastructure. They're not midnight production. When he said, "Do you want to host the Golden Globes?" all that stuff I said in the show was true. I said, I'm going to write my own jokes, right? And I thought, who do I pander to? The 200 richest people in the room, or the 200 million people watching at home who aren't winning awards, who aren't millionaires? Ricky Gervais knew. He stood in a room full of people connected to Epstein and made jokes that were actually warnings, because he understood something that most people don't. The celebrities are nervous because they're implicated, but they're not running anything. They're just trapped in a system that's much bigger than they are. Some of them are victims who got pulled in, some are predators who got access, some are intelligence assets who were helping recruit, but none of them are the architect. When you see multiple famous people doing the same things at the same time, selling homes at a loss, moving to countries with no extradition treaties, going silent, disappearing, you're not watching bad luck. You're watching a pattern. This is what people do when they know something bad is coming. The celebrities are panicking because they know more files are coming. They know that eventually their roles will be exposed. But the ones actually pulling the strings, they're protected because they operate at a level where the public never sees them. They're not celebrities, they're government officials, intelligence operatives, royalty, the ultra-wealthy who don't need fame because they already have power. And Midnight Production was their operation, their logistics, their supply chain, their system for gathering intelligence and maintaining control, which brings us back to Ghislaine.
I'm not aware any. Look, I just want to be clear. The only person that I'm aware of who claims to have been, and we have to, whilst I've established that I was 17, given that she has changed her age so many times.
She's sitting in prison, getting special treatment, naming just enough names to stay relevant and keep the privileges flowing. But she'll never name the real operators. She'll never expose the true architects of Midnight Production. Because if she did, she wouldn't just lose her privileges. She wouldn't survive. You want to know why mainstream media won't talk about Midnight Production? Why they'll cover the celebrities all day, but never connect the dots to the actual infrastructure? Because the actual infrastructure is protected. Some of the people running Midnight Production have direct ties to the networks that control mainstream media. Some have government connections, some have intelligence backgrounds, and all of them have enough leverage to make sure that certain stories never break through to cable news. The Epstein files are court documents, FBI records, and flight logs that name the people connected to him. Here's the problem. A huge chunk of those files are still sealed or covered in black marks. We're talking 70 to 80% of some documents still hidden from the public. 70 to 80% of the files are still redacted, blacked out, hidden from the public. And do you know who controls what gets redacted? The same agencies that allegedly protected Epstein for decades. The same institutions that have deep ties to the people who benefited from Midnight Production. It's a perfect system. Controlled release of information, strategic exposure of mid-level players, continuous distraction with celebrity scandals. But the real operation? Untouchable.
Jeffrey Epstein have a scheme to recruit girls to use them for purposes of massages.
Objective Foreman Foundation.
She claims she doesn't know what they're talking about. A woman who ran Epstein's household, who coordinated his operations, who kept the records, who managed the contacts. She claims total ignorance, and somehow she survives. She gets special treatment, she trades names, she maintains her life, because she's part of the agreement. She's part of the managed exposure. She'll give up enough names to satisfy public anger. She'll stay in prison just long enough for people to feel like justice happened. And then, when the time is right, she'll get her commutation. She'll disappear into a comfortable comfortable exile, and Midnight Production will simply evolve into the next iteration. Because the system doesn't die, it adapts. The Epstein files revealed a system, an infrastructure of abuse that operated for decades at the highest levels of society. But what they didn't reveal, what they're actively hiding, is the full scope of Midnight Production. Ghislaine Maxwell knows. She's living proof that the system still works, even when people go to prison. She's the canary in the coal mine. As long as she's comfortable, as long as she has privileges, as long as she's carefully releasing names that distract from the truth, you know the machine is still running. And it will keep running until people stop focusing on the celebrity scandals and start asking about the infrastructure itself. Until people stop accepting redacted files and demand full transparency. Until people understand that Midnight Production wasn't an aberration. It was the system working exactly as designed. The files are slowly being released, and everyone's covering it up. There's a lot that was intentional. They intentionally released videos and photos of nude victims unredacted, but the real operation? It's showing a depth to these people and these characters, and it's providing context. And we are the people connecting dots that the DOJ didn't think we'd connect with. The dots are there, the files are there, Ghislaine's lies are there, but the full truth, the complete picture of Midnight Production, that's still buried, and it's going to stay buried until enough of us stop accepting the distraction and start demanding the real story. Thank you for watching. If you believe the truth matters, share this. Comment below with what you think Midnight Production really was, and subscribe, because next time, we're going deeper into the files that they don't want you to see.